Hello everyone, and welcome to my CSGO surfing tutorial. And I've been working on this for like maybe at most like a few days, just like when I can. And it's not perfect, but it's as close as I was able to get it. You are able to jump on a wall, and if you hold the S or D keys and there's a wall right next to it, it's very similar to wall running. It will allow you to kind of ride on the wall and launch you off with increased velocity in your camera's direction, allowing you to basically surf on walls as close as I could get it to CSGO. So yeah, let's get into it. And once your project has started up, we can get into it. So first we want to go to the first person blueprint, first person character blueprint. And we can, since this is the first person template, we can just delete this stuff that we won't be using, since I will not be using a controller, nor will I need to be firing the gun. Okay, and once that is finished, we want to get the event tick function and just do a check, or show inherited variables, and just do a check if the character is falling in the character movement component. And if that is true, we want to do a line trace by channel and do it off of the actor's location to the, and then we want to get the actor's right vector and multiply that by our move right left axis value. And then what we then want to do is add another pin, and we can also have it as a float, and we want to call this our distance for our surfing check. And then once that's done, we can just add that to our actor location and put it into the end. And then the next thing we want to do is pull out of, or actually we can move this over here. And the next thing we want to do is have a branch coming out of the line trace and have an AND boolean, as we want to check first of all if it hit, if the line trace actually hit, and we also want to check if the wall is angled. This isn't exactly perfect, but it's as close as I was able to get it without using C++ and modifying the character movement component. So drag out of the normal and just make rotation from Y right here. And then we want to create a macro called isWallAngled. And in that macro, we want to have an input as a rotation, call that rotation, and then split that and get the absolute value of the Y, of the pitch value, and then get the modulus of, and have it do 30, because basically if the wall is not angled, so if it's not a 90-degree angle, if it's not an 180-degree angle, if it's not 120, and so on, then it will have a remainder. Otherwise, then the wall is angled and we don't want to surf on it, or isn't angled and we don't want to surf on it. It's basically the same type of thing that you'd have for like checking even numbers and so on. And then we want to check if this is not equal to 0, and then put that into the return value of the macro. And then once that's finished, we can go back to our event graph and drag out the isWallAngled macro and plug that into the AND pin. and just put that over here. And then the next thing we want to do is create another variable called B was surfing. And basically what this variable will do is if we're falling and our wall trace does not hit, if we were surfing, we want to launch the character in the direction of our camera, and then set that to false. So basically, out of the true thing, so if we do hit, we want to launch the character forward. This is very similar to setting up stuff like wall running, and do get actor forward vector, add that to get actor up vector, and then multiply this by 3. If I remember correctly, the reasoning I did this was to increase the impact of the up vector, and drag out the first person character movement component. First add a pin to the plus node, drag out the first person character camera component, I can't talk, and get forward vector, and then multiply this by 1.4. And this is also to increase the impact of the forward vector. So this will be more impactful than the actor's forward vector in a sense. And then once that is finished, we can move this over here and multiply the addition by our speed that we want to actually go at. So promote this to a variable and do surfing speed multiplier. And we can set this to like 500. And once that is done, we need to add another pin and multiply all of this stuff by the delta time, so it isn't affected directly by frame rate. Get world delta seconds and just drag that in and plug this in. And once that is finished, we want to set B was surfing to true. And once that is done, we can move here. Let's move all of these to the right. I can't move it. And we can set this into like a function called surfing. And once that is done, we want to drag out of our false thing and do another branch and do a check if was surfing. Because if we were surfing, we want to launch our character forward so we can carry on the forward momentum that we were going at. So if we were surfing, we want to get our character movement component and then set velocity. And then do get velocity divided by 1.4. And I'm pretty sure this was the same reasoning is to decrease the impact of the velocity compared to what will be our forward vector. So drag out of the divided by and do an add node. And out of the other pin, do a multiply and do get forward vector from the camera component. So get forward vector, convert this to a float, and do like 5 to increase the impact of our forward vector. And then once that is done, we want to multiply this all by 1.1 just to increase the speed a little bit. I found that it made a pretty big impact, but you might have different results. Kind of depends. and once that is done, we can set be with surfing to false so this doesn't run again. And once all that is finished, you should, in theory, have surfing. Let's see. Yep. Okay, so we can't surf. This is expected. Can't surf on like these walls. But say we were to get a ram. We can like make this a ram. And if we hold our D key, wait, actually, what happened here? Move the kill Z. Okay, I'm gonna increase the scale of this. Just because it's not exactly big enough. This is very big, but it'll do. Is falling. That does not seem to be working as expected. Let me see 1 second. Oh, the distance surfing check we need to set to 130. That's it. Okay, now in theory this should work. Yep, and there it is. CSGO surfing tutorial in all blueprints. It's obviously not exactly perfect, has a lot of, or has some edge cases. Like, if you have walls like this, but if this was a wall, you would still be able to surf on it, just because it's not, if it's like this, or like this, just because it's not a 90-degree angle. This is more for like, this is more for games that are like centered around surfing rather than as like a side mechanic. But yeah, thanks for watching and hope everything went well. Thanks.